Is this thing on? Hi guys. It's been I think 4 months since my last stream. Not exactly sure. And at least 50 some days since my last video upload. Although I do have 2 videos that I made shortly after that and not released. Not because they're bad. I've just been busy doing other things. So I thought I would take a little bit of time today, do some office hours, which means if you have questions about Japanese that I can answer, I'll try to answer them. The way the world works now, though, everyone has AI. So I definitely have been getting a lot less questions recently. And while we're on that topic, as I clean these glasses that I haven't worn in forever, I've been wearing these recently. I don't know. Didn't feel like I wanted to wear them for the live stream, though. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? First of all, I forgot to do the chat room. I have not done this in so long. I'm not even logged into YouTube, it seems. Hang on. Give me a second. Let me figure out what my login is here. And then I can look at chat. I don't have chat going. What is my current... what is this? The way our system is set up, we have to change our password every 3 months. And it's super long. It's not short. That wasn't it. What is it now? Oh my gosh. I might not be able to get in to see chat. That was it. Okay. Just have to do a secondary verification. We are very paranoid here about getting our websites all taken over because someone gets access to Gmail. All right, that should be good. All right, I'm in. Now I just got to select the channel. What channel am I on? Japanese from 0. Where is that? Doesn't help that everything is super tiny. Japanese from 0. Somewhere in here. I think it's at the bottom and I can't see it. There it is. Give me a second. I wasn't prepared. I haven't done this in so long. Select the stream. Here we go. Japanese. Did I type it right? Oh, it's FRPM0. I actually thought I had a mistake in the Japanese, but it's... Sorry. Oops. It's not Japanese for Prum 0. I don't even know. Can I change that? I don't think I could change it right now. All right, well, that's what it's going to be for a while, guys. It's going to look like a hack stream for a moment. This is not AI, it's me. All right, let me get the chat window open. Japanese for Prum 0. Where is the chat window? Oh my God, it's crazy how much you forget not doing this. Docs, there we go. Chat. There we go. We're in. I'm in. First comment award goes to NYC Jenny. Let me see if I can't make this bigger. It's so tiny. Hang on. It's not letting me make it bigger, even though I'm doing... Maybe I'll put it up here instead. Oh, there we go. I got bigger. NYC Jenny says, Hisashiburi. This was supposed to release on the 15th. This is the last of the 5 copies that I had. I've given the rest away. And we've made a few changes. That's what's holding us back. The Hugo, who is my main author, co-author, he's the one that pushed for this book, begged me to do this book. He kept sending messages saying, please, 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 I think I can write this book with you. And I'm like, no, man, it's good. He said, well, let me just send you what I got. I'm like, no, you can't send me what you got. And the reason why I don't let people send me what they got is because I never want to be accused of stealing something from somebody. And if somebody sends something to me, and then I decide later on, let's say he sends Spanish from 0 to me, and I decide, oh, maybe later on I'll do Spanish from 0, and I start working on it. And what if I accidentally come up with something just like he did? Or what if I don't accidentally come up and I come up with something brilliant and he's like, no, I have proof that I sent him my version of Spanish from 0 and he stole from me. So I don't want to ever be in that situation where it's possible that I could look like I stole something. So I don't take anyone's submissions. I don't want to hear your game ideas. I don't want to hear how you could improve my novel. None of that stuff. I purely narcissistically want to be the creator. Okay. But he kept relenting. And I said, look, man, the only way I would look at your book is if you just gave it to me. You'd have to sign documents giving it over to me. And he did. And it was good. And I thought, you know what? I should hire this guy. So I hired him. And then we've been working on this. I think we're crazily enough into the 4th year. It's not because it took 4 years to write. It's because I just let it go for years sometimes. Like we'd work on it feverishly for a few months. Then 3-4 months we wouldn't touch it. Then we'd touch it again. And there's been like a decent, like, let's say 2 years of like time where I wasn't touching it forever. And even now, like it's been going through review. He's taken it to 2 Spanish teachers, and there was 3 big spots that we changed. One was a suggestion that we didn't take, and the other was like, oh, this is just messed up. Like, what was it thinking here? You ever write something and then you go back and you're like, what was I thinking? Sometimes I don't even know what my goal was. You know, it's like, what was I trying to do? And other times I'll look and I go, man, I'm over explaining here. Sometimes you have to under explain and give just enough to let the student see the pattern and not give them, remember when we learned this and then English does this and so therefore Spanish. It's like, no, how about we just say what Spanish does? But super proud of this book. I'm gonna guess conservatively 2 weeks we'll be done. We finished, there was a big change in lesson, it was 14. Was it 14? Let me double check. It was the te gusta type stuff. Where was that? Yeah. Nope, not that one. 14. And I think that was it. He had like one more session left. Just double checking. Where was that lesson? Was this 17? I don't even remember. It was lesson 17, and I think there's only 18 lessons. Yeah. So should be coming out 2 weeks. Very proud of this book. Art done by Silt. Silt did all of the chibi covers on our Japanese from Zero books. And also he did this is one of his chibis right here. This is Tomoko. She's like our official kind of girl now. All right. What do we got here? Persian Ranger Viewer. That's an interesting name. Konnichiwa, Joji-san. Since when do we have Spanish from Zero? Oh, it's a good question. Since a long time ago, just never got it out. But this has been in this format since February. So we've spent the last 3 months making things better in it. I'm very proud of it though. I'm not trying to promote it, although I am very suspiciously always making sure you can see Spanish from Zero here because I'm not an idiot. I know that's more effective than this. Come on now. Almost spilled my water. The book is amazing. Oh, Violet is one of the reviewers of the book. Well, thank you. I actually don't think I've heard you say that to me yet, Violet. Violet is my bestie, and Violet has been graciously going through the book, and she said it's amazing. Well, that's the first time I've heard that from her. We talk every day, but she's never said that. I don't know. Maybe she's just being nice right now. What JLPT level can I get to with all of the Japanese from Zero? This is something that I'm very, very certain because not because I've investigated it or done research, but I hear over and over again people getting JLPT 4. So there's 5 levels of JLPT, which is the Japanese language proficiency test, and it starts at 5. N5 is what they call it. And then there's 4, 3, 2, 1, 4. So that's 5 books. And there are touches of N3 in book 4 and 5, maybe even some in book 3. But we never designed the books to be for JLPT. We didn't design them to be for the European way of thinking too. I can't remember. It's like level C, C1, C2, B1. I didn't know those things existed when I wrote it. The way I wrote the books, me and my wife were teaching classes. We started teaching classes. When I started, I had a set of 30 flashcards that said like fire truck, bicycle. Like that's all I had. And I did that for like maybe 2 classes. And I thought we probably should put something together or find a book And that was my first instinct, find a book. And there was, at that time, there was Japanese for busy people, Japanese in 10 minutes a day. And I just looked at every book I could find in the bookstore, and I didn't like any of them. And that wasn't hubris on my part. I just thought either they're moving too fast, or they're using all romaji, it's all like English lettering for it, or it's either too fast, too slow, or just like it doesn't respect the person learning. It doesn't care that it's too fast, or it doesn't care that it's too slow. So out of desperation, I was like, we need something for the next class. I had like one student. Her name was Samantha. Samantha was the bellhop over at the Luxor Hotel, and we were good friends. And I told her, yeah, I think I'm gonna start teaching Japanese. She's like, sign me up, I'll totally do it. So she was the first one. And it was like the third class, and I was like, we need something. So we put together some lessons like the night or the day before. Now, I had already been writing lessons even before I met my wife, out of like an insane drive to do something. I think I was 20 years old, maybe. I came back to America right on the cusp of turning 21. And my dad had a computer with this software called WordPerfect. Not Word Perfect Pro by Corel was the name of the company. And it was like a black screen and the green text or white text. It was like that level of a PC. And I was making in WordPerfect lessons. I had, I think, 10 or 12 lessons, and I still have copies of them somewhere in my garage in my memory box. But I would make these lessons for nobody, with no business purpose, no plan to teach, just was making lessons. And then I would take them to the Kinko's. Some of you have never even heard of a Kinko's, but that was what they call FedEx Office now. But it was a copy machine place, essentially. So I took these single prints of my lessons, and I would go there and print the lessons off in varied colored paper, just like all these pastel papers, for some insane reason, just like drive. I had to build something. And this is the story of my life. Why anything is anything in my life is I just have a underlying drive to build things, right? So I had those lessons and they did nothing. And then we started teaching Japanese, and I started thinking, oh yeah, I wrote those lessons, and I started building from that. And that became, and I don't remember how I came up with the name, Japanese from Zero. And initially it wasn't a book series. It was just lessons raw for the students, just writing every week. And we started doing more and more classes, and the classroom started filling up, and I really, really needed these lessons. But because I kept updating these lessons, there was dates at the bottom. So it'd be like 1997. That's what it was. 1997. Some of you were not even born. 1997. I don't have the date. And I would, like, every class would go, well, what version do you have? Oh, no, I got a better one. I've totally improved it. And just after every class, I would improve those lessons. And every new set of classes that came through, they got better and better and better. And that became Japanese from Zero. But before it was Japanese from Zero, it was just this big collection in a binder. And it was too much. Like, the binder had gotten so big that I thought, I gotta better organize this. So my dad, who was a real estate broker, or an agent, I think at the time, he had an IBCO machine. I'm going way back, guys. He had an IBCO machine, okay? And the IBCO machine would punch holes into the paper, and you could do like 15 sheets at a time, right? You just IBCO, and then I'd go through, I'd print them all out on his copy machine, and then IBCO, and then I would put them in these plastic, I'd like open up the combs of this thing, and we'd slip them in. I get another 15 or 20 pages at a time, and then I'd have a book with a printed cover. And my cover was the scan of a Japanese postcard, because I didn't understand how copyright law worked, and I just thought, this is a beautiful postcard. One of these days I'll bring them in, I'll show it to you. I have it in my memory box. But that's what we had for the students. And then I eventually made like flashcards, and they were like printed on the computer on my HP 682C, and it took hours to print. And then I would laminate those things, and they would have to cut them up themselves. That was it. And then that eventually I started selling on our website as the complete beginner's thing to Japanese. And over time, we kept developing the books. And then it was like, you know what? I wonder if we could print these differently. This style. This is called Perfect Bind. Okay. And so my dad, his cousin, had a print shop, and we printed the first batch, 50 books of Japanese from Zero Book 1. And they were bad. You'd open them up. I still have nightmares of this, but you'd open it up and you'd do a little bit like this. You know, you'd be like, and it would fall apart. They didn't do enough glue. And the height of the book was random. It was like this one would be this much, and the next one would be a little bit more higher. It was horrible. So at the time, I think I had just hired Justin. Justin's the co-owner of the From Zero company, not the Yes Japan company. There's two companies. But he was still working for me at the time, and he's like, he found Create Space, which got eventually bought by Amazon. But that's how we got the books on Amazon. I didn't even know we were going to be on Amazon. Crazy. It's just a weird history of, this leads to, just do something. Just do something. If you have any drive at all, but maybe you have these hesitations in your head, ignore them. Just do something, because you don't know what it's going to turn into. I will unabashedly tell you, I'm not ashamed or embarrassed to say, why would I be? And I'm not trying to brag. I have made millions of dollars with Japanese from Zero. Millions. And it has been my only job since at least 2012. What are we on? What does that make it? Almost 15 years? And before that, I was making money the whole time, just not as much. It just eventually got to a point where it snowballed, right? And I never thought it would last this long. I got to tell you, I still don't. I have my doubts. I think AI is going to kill it. Like, I'm pretty sure AI is the end all to what I do. But that's fine. I'm rolling with the punches. But I thought Google Translate was going to kill Japanese from Zero, and it didn't. And by the way, the website, FromZero.com, it makes more money every single month still. And I don't know how, because I'm not like releasing a bunch of videos, but apparently there's a lot of people that still want to get the website. I don't know. Persian Ranger has sent 110 TRIs. You tried. I don't know what TRI is. I'm not even gonna look it up, because I find normally it's like $1. But thank you. The amount doesn't matter. It's the thought that counts. Thank you. I'm so thankful for your YouTube videos and books. I bought all 5 of them. Wow, thank you. I lack a little bit of discipline, but I'm working on it to study with your books. My future plan is because of you. Arigato gozaimasu. That's amazing, and I'm going to upvote that as well. Great job. I appreciate that message. It's sometimes I lose focus, like, oh, what am I doing this all for, throughout the years, and then you get messages like that, or really long, deep sent messages in an email, another weird thing I get a lot of, more than you would believe, is handwritten letters from jails. It's always handwritten. Anytime I see a handwritten letter, I know what facility are these people in. And I think I've talked about this before, but you get these letters and they're super heartfelt, and they're in prison. What else are they going to do? And I feel bad for them. You're saying, well, maybe I shouldn't feel bad for them, because what crime did they commit? And when you do look up the crimes, normally it's the worst crimes. It's not robbing a bank. Let's just say that. It's like, oh my, wow. Yeah, I don't think I want you to know Japanese. And yeah, no. But I'm not Christian, but who am I to judge? Judge not, lest ye be judged. Well, guess what? I wasn't there at the trial. Maybe they were railroaded. What do I know? I still don't respond to them typically. But it's weighed heavily on my soul that I haven't. And so I think about a year ago, I got a message from someone who was the librarian at some correctional facility. And he wrote a letter. He said, look, man, these guys have nothing and they're all learning Japanese, but we don't have enough books. Could you send some books? And I do have extra books. Not that because I mail from here. I don't mail anything from here. But the way our book printing is set up, we have like 3 different printers. And the one through Ingram, they send back books that stores send back. And every now and then that happens. So I've easily got 200-300 books sitting here. And so I just sent like a box of 50. And then I got a big letter back from all I got a card back from the inmates, all like, thank you, George. And they had signed it. And I was like, that was awesome. And I felt good. I felt like I had erased years of me feeling bad about not responding to these people that took their time to write the letter only to get ignored, But it's hard. It's hard. John, hang on. I can't see your full name for some reason. What is this? John M. ... I guess that is your full name. That ... makes me think it's not your full name. By the way, is my screen stuttering? Like, it's stuttering when I look over here. It shouldn't be stuttering, but I have had a history of stuttering screen. Hello, I wonder if for suru verbs, You could explain what the ending. Yeah, I definitely am not seeing everything. Hang on, let me stretch it out. Okay. The ending of してきた or してくる, do. 買い物をしてきた. This is a pretty easy one. And then I think I can throw a more advanced version of that in. When someone says してくる, te form plus kuru, in any verb, by the way, not just suru, but for example, 食べる could be 食べてくる. We could have suru becomes してくる, right? してくる. Or I'm trying to think of a normal regular verb. 行ってくる. 行ってくる is the biggest one. That means I'm going to go do this thing and come back. I'm going to go do it and come back. Later on, when you learn the te forms, you'll know that te form is like a command form, okay? It means you can say like, して, do it. 来て, come. 食べて, eat. It's a command, right? But when you add te kuru on it, or te to any other thing, it can be used as an and. It's do this thing and come back. I could even double command it. I could say, 行ってきて, go and come back. 食べてきて, eat and come back. So te kuru is just, te form is just an and. It's a double action happening. So when people say, in the very beginning of learning Japanese, you learn how to say, 行ってきます. 行ってきます means, I'm going to go and I'll be back. It's what you say when you leave your house. 行ってきます. I'll be back. Often it gets translated as just, I'll be back. But it's really, I'm going to go and come back, right? So there is also a te kuru form combined with a te iku form that shows progression of things. Not that you went and did something, but that ここまでやってきました. I've come this far. Te kuru is like, I've came all the way this way, right? Like shows progression. Or you'll say, something te iku is mean it's also going to show progression. どんどん良くなっていきますよ. It's going to constantly get better. なって is naru is to become, なっていく. It's going to become better progressively. That's what te iku does. What your version is right here is してくる. I'm going to go do it and come back. Or してきた. I went and did it and came back. So your example of 買い物をしてきた means I went shopping. It really just means I went shopping and came. That's all it means. Hopefully that answers your question, John M. Guys, please tell me about SFZ because I kind of came late. Says Raymond. This book is Spanish from Zero, written by, where's his name? Oh, there it is. Hugo Kaneda and me. The way it works was this. I didn't know any Spanish before I started. Hugo wrote lessons. I learned from those lessons. We had a lot of back and forth, and then I rewrote the lessons in a style that I think works better. And then we would have these 4 or 5 hour meetings every day, working on the book, working on graphics, revising. And Hugo started to hate it. You know, it's like, oh my God, can we just not do this revision? It's like, no, we have to. That's the process, you know. It was already good. I know it was already good. But, you know, as we write the book, the way it works is this. We'll write up the grammar. Okay. Me and Hugo will write up the grammar. I'll write up the grammar and go, does that work? He's like, yes or no. And then, well, what's wrong with it? And then I'll write example sentences. I will write the example sentences, right? You might go, well, why wouldn't you make your native speaker write the sentences? Well, he does. He does write sentences. I write sentences and he writes sentences. Now, there's a benefit to having us both writing sentences. When I write the sentences, I'm writing based on the information that I know taught in this book up to that point. So if I make a mistake that I shouldn't make, we can go back and revise because we know my understanding was wrong based on what we wrote. And if he writes something that I don't understand, and it happens, it's not because he's wrong, it's because he thinks I should know that based on what we taught. And that's another hole in the grammar. So I'll write things, he'll write things. And when he writes them, he'll write them like I'll give him homework, right? And I'll say, hey, give me like 4 banks of examples and some mini conversations. And the next day it'll be on the screen, but I'll do this. I'll just be like, all right, go. And I'm just listening. I'm not reading because reading gives me a lot of hints that I don't want. I'll listen. And it's a way of practicing for me, but it's also a way of knowing, is the book effective? And it's so fun. I love doing stuff like that. But that's why the book is good. And that's why Japanese from Zero is good. That's why Korean from Zero is good. Because I was learning Korean as I wrote Korean from zero with Reed, who was a Mormon missionary in Korea, and Sonhee, which was, I guess, his girlfriend at the time. They helped write that book, and I just had like the knowledge of how grammar works in Japanese, and I learned it as we went. And we made huge mistakes that got corrected as we went along, mistakes that we shouldn't have made. And then the Sonhee, who was writing all of the sentences for that book, she would write sentences, and we, you know, be like, why don't we know that? We should know that. Like, it was funny. There was a moment in Korean from Zero where she wrote, "It's mine," and I realized we hadn't taught "it's mine." We don't know how to say "it's mine." How do we skip possession at this point? But that's how the book process works, right? Anyway, that's what Spanish from Zero is, guys. So the date isn't, wait, the date ain't ISO 8601. What does that mean? There's something about the date. I do dates year, month, day because I think anything else other than it is stupid. If you do anything other than year, month, day, like America, we have the worst one. It's month, day, year. I want you to think about that data wise. You have the month and the day and then the year. That means if you look up something like alphabetically in numerical order, it's always going to be December of every single year on existence, right? December 1972, December 1973. It's a stupid way of doing it. And then the day will change the order. So you'll have like December 1st, 1972, December 1st, 1992, and it'll be in that order. But then the Canadians, I guess, or Europeans do day, month, year, which is stupid. So stupid. Because then it's like the day of a 50 dates on the 6th. It could be any month, could be any year, and it's random order. It might as well be random order. But year, month, day is always accurate. 2019, 12, this the 5th will always be properly in order. So if you look at the back of books, you'll see here it says the release date right here. That's gonna be 2026-0131 for this version. All my file names are named that way. If I have a date in a file name, which I do it year, month, day. I used to do this thing where it was like gold version. Like you get to the end of writing the book and you go, oh, this is it. This is it, gold. And then you fix something and this is gold too. This is platinum. This is the platinum edition of Japanese from Zero. This is solid gold platinum edition. And you just, and then it was like, you know what? Just give it a date, and then you'll know this is the most recent one. Okay. How come I can't scroll? What's happening with my scrolling? John M sends £5. That L is a pound, I think. Thank you. No message. Just a dancing green grimace, I guess. Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you. Okay. Usodaro says, 質問あるんですけど、によるとかでの違い、あんまわからん. Well, first of all, let me say this, Usodaro, and don't take this hard. The way you're speaking is really weird. When you're talking to a person that's like a teacher, you should never talk like that. You watch too much anime, or you're trying to be funny. I don't know, it could go either way. But that way of speaking is really rude to a teacher, right? Not that I'm saying I deserve respect. I'm just George, right? I don't need to be Mr. Trombley or anything like that. But 質問があるんですけど it's totally fine. But then when you're like, 違いあんまわからん, it's like saying, yo, man, yo, I got a question, bro. Like, what is up, man? I don't get this at all. Can you tell me what it is, bro? And you're saying bro to like a professor. You know, don't do that. So 違いがわかりません would be better here. Now, I'm not saying you need to do respect to me. I'm just saying you should know that Japanese people will hear that Japanese and think, wow, this guy's rude, even though that's not your intention. And you might get a gaijin pass, like a foreigner pass, where it's okay to make those type of things. But trust me, at a point, you will lose friends and you don't know why. And people won't want to talk to you because you're always talking rude, right? Because your Japanese isn't, You have to earn that level of Japanese. Like you can't talk that way in Japanese until you know enough Japanese to be rude or to be funny. Does that make sense? All right. Anyway, so you have a question and you want to know, you don't know the difference between ni yoruto or de. Now, I don't know what you're doing with the de there, but ni yoruto means according to. So according to the source before. So for example, let's say I told you something and you went and told somebody about that. Well, you could say Joji ni yoruto, according to George, but I don't know what you mean with the de. Maybe you can explain that. You did say something after that. Nanka brogu de or brogu ni yoruto. Okay. So brogu de just means in a blog. And brogu ni yoruto, it means according to a blog. So brogu de is just where something was written. And brogu ni yoruto is according to a blog. Okay. So normally when you're talking about, you retracted that message. Okay. Well, I already saw it. If you say brogu de, there's something comes after that. Like brogu de yondan da kedo. I read this in a blog, but, right? You're giving that information. I read this in a blog. It's not really a but there. Sorry. The kedo is just background information. Brogu de yondan da kedo. So I read this in a blog. Inu ga, dogs, blah, 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 whatever information you would throw after that. So brogu ni yoruto, but this one is like, according to this blog, or according to the science of medical information, or, RDR Money 6355 says, I was gifted JPZ 1 through 5 a while back. Now, it's not JPZ, just like this isn't SPZ. You see the F right here? It's from 0. So SFZ or JFZ. Pet peeve of mine. Unless it's panties from 0. You were gifted JFZ 1 through 5 a while back. Still making my way through them, but I have learned so much from you that I never thought it possible. I'll tell you what, there is a magic about learning something from a book that a person has written or a group has written that explains things. Like I wrote a novel. I'm in the 4th revision. Violet's actually going through it and finishing some comma additions that I need to make and other weird things. But this novel is like the easily 6th or 7th one I've tried to finish. And the only reason I was able to really finish it is because I read a book from great courses called How to Write Best-Selling Fiction. And then I went down this path of going to YouTube channels, Abby something or other, and all of these other YouTubers that are in the book space that are like agents for publishing companies, and they'll tell you like this is the top 10 mistakes book writers make, or top 10 things your story needs to have. And I learned what it means to have a story. I learned the ingredients of a story, right? And so it wasn't until I did that I actually got through writing a novel. So I think it's the same thing with Japanese. If you start learning Japanese and you're just hodgepodging getting information instead of going through something, and this is going to sound like I'm biased, but I am, if you go through a coherent plan from someone who's already done it, instead of just nickel and diming it, you're probably going to go further. That's what I'll say. Genchaku says, if I was in jail, I guess how else to spend my time than learn some Japanese. True. And it's a good thing for your brain. I saw a video, with the advent of all the AI stuff now, which I'm a huge proponent of. Like, I love AI. I use a ton of AI. Never for writing things, but for making tools all the time. For building like little things that I want in my life that I don't have, I use AI. For making song compositions, because I'm not a artist, like I'll write the lyrics. I'll never let the AI write the lyrics unless I specifically say I did that. I don't want to. I typically want to write my own. Like I had ChatGPT write lyrics for my father, where I wrote like a story, and it actually came back with like the most insanely good story lyrics. I was actually angry. I was like, no, don't be this good, please. Because it didn't used to be good when I was playing around with it before. Now it's so good, I don't know how I can improve it. So I really have, in all of my, I think my best songs that I've made are 100% my lyrics. So I try to really not use it for creative things at all. Like that's my goal. But I do use it. But with the advent of AI, I think it's really easy to not use your brain. it's really easy to just constantly abdicate your questions to ChatGPT and not sit there for a moment and say, well, how would I work this out? So I saw a video that talked specifically about current generation of children. For the first time ever, I can't remember the score they were talking about, but math scores and logic scores, or it was something along those lines, are for the first time in history lower than the previous generation. And what does that mean? They're abdicating their thought process to the AI. So they're not using their brain. They're not building pathways that would allow them to continue to think. Studies have shown that even in the process of just attempting to remember something, will build a pathway. It's kind of like if you're a boat in Antarctica or wherever there's a bunch of ice and you're trying to get to the central area, you got to break through the ice, right? Well, even if you don't get there, you will build a path through the ice that makes it easier to get there the next time, right? So I challenge you, turn off your AI for a moment. And I know it's addicting because it gives you the answers right away, but actually try to learn and try to use your brain. Try to be the one that comes up with the answer and don't keep giving that up to AI. Do you know what I'm saying? When will you continue the book 5 videos? Says Bara KG8S. I've got 2 more already made. And look, let me explain what happened. I'll explain why they've stopped. So I wrote this program started with ChatGPT. I wanted a better way. If you watch my last 2 videos or last 3 or 4 videos, you'll see I've got pretty cool graphics. Okay. The graphics have furigana on them and I can even play sounds from them. Really nice. Well, that was something I worked with ChatGPT initially to make a thing called Japanese Playground. Okay. So I previously tried to do it with our devs where we would build it off of the website code and it would auto create furigana and stuff like that, which is, you can't do that in PowerPoint. You have to manually create furigana. So it was like so much work that I wanted something that I could just like type it in, get the information out, and then I could mass produce videos, right? Mass produce meaning I come up with sentences, or Conoco comes up with sentences, and then I can create a presentation quicker instead of spending 2 or 3 hours on the presentation, which is always what's supposed to be done, and then I could just make the video. So eventually, AI had come along and it started doing coding. And I was like, let's see what it can do. And I started building. And I worked through all of the furigana, right? And then I worked through connecting to AI to get sounds. Now, it wasn't perfected yet. The sounds I have my wife come in and listen, and the pitch accent's all wrong. It's very important to get the pitch accent right for that stuff for sure. Because, if you ever want to know, like, is pitch accent important? Hear me out. It is when you're listening to a sentence and it doesn't have the right pitch accent. Is it as important for me as a speaker? I don't think so. But is it important for like a textbook teacher teaching language? Absolutely. And the AI would get it wrong. 11 Labs was what I was using, and it would just get it wrong. And I couldn't figure out why. Anyway, I was working on it and it got really good. And I was like, this is pretty amazing, because these were big problems that we had to solve on FromZero.com. So then I had a kind of a thought. I was like, could I rebuild FromZero.com using ChatGPT? Well, I had already graduated from ChatGPT. I moved over to Claude, and then I moved over to, this is Anthropic. I moved over to Claude Code. So Claude Code will work within a folder on your PC, and it'll make files, and it'll edit those files instead of it giving you code snippets and you going in and replacing them. Now, keep in mind, I've been a coder since high school. I won 2 computer programming contests in high school for all of the schools in Japan. The Department of Defense schools in Japan, they had these computer contests every year. I won twice in a row, first place. And the last one that I won, the final one, I won both categories of programming in the music and art category. And that was the long-term program that I wrote. And then there was a 3-hour contest where you write from scratch a program, and I won that as well. And I won the entire contest. First year I just won my category. Second year I won the whole thing. So I'm coding. The code that writes does the tools for the book. There's probably 100,000 lines of code of VBA, Visual Basic Code, in Spanish from zero. All of the books now, like all of these kind of like the way that things are formatted, I don't spend all the time formatting the book. I have tools that I wrote to format the book. Okay, not AI. George Trombley wrote code for the book. Okay, so when I wrote Japanese from Zero, the website for it, that's all me. 7 versions of Yes Japan I wrote. YesJapan.com, the old website, and then I wrote 3 versions of JapanFiles.com, our MP3 sales site. I had software to edit the ID3 tags. I did everything, all of that. Okay. So when I tell you that I'm now using code to write Claude Code or ChatGPT, it's not purely like a vibe coding thing. I know code. Do I know the modern code? Absolutely not. Man, is it more complicated now than when I was doing PHP and MySQL. Okay. But anyway, so I started thinking, could I do better on the website? Now, this is not to take away from the work that has been done. From Zero is the most successful website version ever. I think about last year, it finally surpassed the top numbers that Yes Japan had been making in its prime. Okay, so it's good, but there was a lot of things that weren't done, and for me, that it was frustrating because there's only so much time in the day. We only have 2 devs, and this is a long story short, but we ended up getting into this really good pattern where we would have a quarterly meeting, and me and Justin, the co-owners of the From Zero side, we would come up with, here's what we want to accomplish in this next quarter. And then we would give that plan to the 2 guys. I won't say their names just to be nice, although you'll know why in a minute. And they would then take that thing that we gave them and come back with a plan. And for the first time in history, after a long history of really struggling to get a lot of new initiatives done, those guys got together and started actually producing good code at the end of 3 months, right? But it was a 3-month process to get something done. And in the very last meeting that we had now I'm guessing it's about 4 months ago, me and Justin had just looked at usage levels of From Zero. Memberships going up. But when we look at the usage, it's like, wow, no one's really getting past book 1. They're like, book 5 has like 140 people maybe have even looked at it. You know, you have thousands of people on book 1, but what's happening with the book 5? There's something wrong with the presentation. And we decided that we needed to chunk things up smaller, right? Everything needs to be smaller chunks. It could be all the same material, but it can't be a dump of the entire lesson on screen. It can't just be a fancy version of the book with quizzes and study mode. All that cool stuff that was added is great, but people aren't using it. So we wanted to chunk it. So the meeting that we had 4 months ago was, how are we going to chunk the website? And the thing is, I didn't know how we were going to do it, but I only knew the first step. Now, the way that I work as a human being is I just start working on a project, and as the project develops, I figure out the next step. That's how the novel got written. That's how Spanish from Zero was written. We didn't have a master plan. That's how Japanese from Zero was written. That's how videos get made. Everything is just like, I'll figure it out. But I won't know step 2 and 3 and 4 until I get step 1 relatively close to being done. So I said to the devs, I said, hey, can we just chunk the grammar points? That's all we need to begin, and we'll figure out what happens next, because I don't know what's going to happen next. But I know that's about a 2-week deal. You know why I know? Because I coded. I did my coding back in the day. I built all of Yes Japan multiple times. And so I know there's a process, even if it's more complicated now with, React and hydration and all these, these new words that you hear in programming. I understand it's different, but I know you could get something within 2 weeks, right? So can we just in 2 weeks? And then what we'll do is once we have that kind of laid out, we'll move to the next thing. No, they can't. Okay, look, I just don't want to wait 3 months to get to the next step. Can we do 1 month? No. Long story short, no. So I waited. We waited 3 months. But I started with the thought of, can I rewrite from zero? Can I do this using, how good is AI? Could it rewrite the site? I think I started 6 or 7 days before that meeting. And in the second day, I'm going to tell you right now, my first thought was, oh no, I don't need devs anymore. Because whatever I'm imagining or whatever I want, Claude Code is doing it. I gave Claude Code the original design spec for From Zero that came from Yes Japan. So when we made the transition from Yes Japan to From Zero, me and Justin put together a 26-page spec for what Yes Japan was, and I put together what I wanted in the next website, like polyglot mode, master dictionary in English so you could do this and that, explaining of how the sound pop-up will work, everything. I masterminded the whole thing in a document. I gave that to Claude, and Claude knows the whole roadmap. And then I said, this is what we're doing now. And I said, let's just start with this one thing. And within 2 days, I knew this is too amazing. I don't need devs anymore. I know enough about what I want, and I have enough drive to go all night long prompting back and forth to fix the things that aren't perfect. And on the 4th and 5th day, I realized even if Claude or this AI can't make the website the way I need it to be, if it gets stuck, I have the logic. I have been giving it the logic to fix the big problems. And it just takes that logic and goes, absolutely. There's no guilt. There's no, that's not a good way to do it. There's no, I think this would be better. It's just like, yeah. The one thing that I've noticed is it never says no. And you might think that's a bad thing. And it is a bad thing sometimes in ChatGPT, like chats. But in the Claude Code, that just means it's going to start coding. And it starts coding, or you give it a plan. I realize later it's better to have it plan, and then you review the plan and you make changes to the plan because you see it has a misunderstanding, right? But over and over again, and I'm going to tell you the dopamine is real. It's like, oh man, I think I know what to do here. How about we do this? And then it goes, oh yeah, and it does it, and it works finally. And I started realizing I don't know what to do. I don't want to let anyone go. And I talked to Justin finally. Here's what happened. We had that meeting, right? And I was already knees deep in the new code. I call it Project Yoroshiku, right? That's what I'm calling it. For now, it'll be From Zero in the end. And we had the meeting, and they showed me their initial chunking, and it was good. It wasn't bad. But I already had something better. And not only did I already have something better, I had already chunked it all. I had done all of the chunking. Now, granted, from that point, I've chunked it even further and I've made further revisions. But at that point, at the meeting, I was already super far ahead of them. And I think if we had had a meeting 1 month after that, or 2 weeks or 1 month after that first time when I asked for it, we would have been just as far. If we had a more back and forth instead of me waiting 3 months, instead of us, having to wait 3 months to see a result, I think I wouldn't have tried to do it in AI. I just think it was out of desperation that I thought, what can I do? I hate not having these things. And so I saw that work, and I already knew in my head that I had fixed multiple outstanding issues not fixed them, wrote from scratch new code that didn't have the problems that From Zero had, right? And like, I'll give you a quick example. Right now, when you learn the progressive system of Japanese from zero, you learn a, I, u, e, o in hiragana, and then the next lesson, a, I, u, e, o is removed from the romanization, right? And then you learn kaki, kuke, go, gagi, guge, go, and then it gets removed. Well, early on, let's say this, the Yes Japan version, all of that was set in the database. Like, this is the progressive version of this word because it's in lesson 6. They would only know this, and it was set in stone. Well, in the new version of the site, it was a calculation. We had furigana data, and then it would calculate based on where you were. What I wanted was something called smart progressive. So smart progressive wouldn't force you to be in any version. It would be after you test it out of a, I, u, e, o, it would go, hey, do you want to add this to your progressive? Like, do you want to, let's remove this from Romaji now that you can read it. That's what I wanted. Well, we didn't have that. We got a version called custom progressive initially, where they could just set rows, say, I know a, I, u, e, o, they check it, and then it would be in the lesson that way, in anywhere they looked. And then we did kaki, kukugo, but it was broken. Forever it was broken. Like, you couldn't read the lines to be able to click them, or it would forget that you clicked them. And it was just this ongoing thing. And it was so frustrating for me that I just said, remove it. I would rather have not have a feature than have a broken feature that stresses the student, because it's stressing me out, and I own the company and I don't want to be stressed out. So we removed it, and then it just sat there. Because when you're doing these meetings for the quarterly, you got to think, well, revenue is doing this. We have to pay attention to revenue. Is that going to bring in more money? No. So you don't do it. You have to, you just make these decisions that are the right decision in the moment, but the wrong decision for the company, but the right decision for the company. You know what I mean? Like slowly we start building this debt, this tech debt, where it's like, well, this could look better and we should fix this, but really we got to work on this because this is affecting money, you know? And so you start building this debt. And I would remember, you know, after the sprints that they were doing, I wasn't involved in the sprints for a long time, for like 2 years. I would be yelling at Justin because he was in charge of the sprints. I was like, why are we moving on to the next sprint when we got half the shit in the last sprint not done? Sorry, I said shit. But I'm like, why are we, I was so angry. Like, and I would say, look, just have the guys. At that time we had 3 devs, by the way. I said, have the guys in the morning, take an hour, fix bugs. That's all you do. Well, you know, if we fix bugs, there's more things they got to be concentrating on. So I couldn't even get that. I couldn't even get people to agree to just fix bugs in the morning and then do any freedom coding you wanted to do all day long on the other things, on new initiatives or whatever. Anyway, I had already at this meeting in a day built not only custom progressive, but smart progressive. And guess what? I built it for Korean, Chinese, and kanji. All those things were able to be done by me just explaining what I wanted to the AI and working through a couple of bugs, still working through a little bit with Romaji. Romaji's horrible. It'd be like, omedeto, and it'd be like, ome space de space to. I'm like, no, that's not a particle. Anyway, that's something I'm working on. But my point being, I'm sitting in that meeting, looking at the work that they had done, which wasn't bad, but I already have better code, and I've already accomplished more than I thought I could in just about 8 days. And then the devs were saying, well, we want to do our next quarter meeting to determine, you know, what we're going to do for the next quarter. We have a big plan. And I was just sitting there just inside kind of crying because I know I wasn't going to use the code they just showed me. And I know I already saw the path to, I originally was thinking in 3 months, I could do this whole thing. I could have the whole thing. I could literally have every course up in all languages, even Chinese, which is a book that's incompleted. I could put up beta courses for that. And I was already working on Spanish from Zero course. And it was just like, I built all of these tools to take it directly from the book, paste it in, and it would grab all the data immediately and add all the sounds, everything in the formats that I had it right, in the formats that I wanted. So they wanted this meeting in about 2 days. And I said, no, we have to delay it. And I talked to Justin. And then at this time, like I said, I'm feeling desperate. Like, I don't know how I'm going to keep these guys. And then Justin at first was like really not having it. He's like, you're vibe coding? No, dude, it's not vibe coding. I'm not a vibe coder. Is the AI doing coding for me? Absolutely. But did I just say, build me a language website? No, I was like, this is exactly what I want. These are the specs. No, don't do it that way. You know? Eventually I got him on board. And he says, you need to talk to Mike. Now, Mike has been like my buddy for 7 years. He's been working at the company. Same thing for the other guy. Mike, you guys know Mike from Adventures in Asia, right? And so Mike needed to be talked to. And when I talked to Mike, I finally started getting the better vision, for the company. And it's this, I'll sum it up. What's happening in the world right now with AI means we have a very uncertain future for the company. For real this time, not the Google Translate level. Like, will people be learning Japanese in 2 years from a website like From Zero? High chance they won't. Book sales of Japanese From Zero are tanking. Not because our book's bad, but because there's an AI slot book that is out with great marketing, and they buy all the advertising slots above any search for Japanese. Like, every single one of them, 7 books in one, 5 books in one, 3 books in one, the same company, all slop. Beating Japanese From Zero, hurting our sales, right? Website still going up, book sales going down. Not a good trend, right? So I'm thinking, well, what does From Zero become then? Where do we go if language learning maybe doesn't become a thing? And I started thinking, well, you know, do you know what Nintendo? You know Nintendo, right? Super Mario and Legend of Zelda. What was Nintendo doing before they made the Nintendo game system? Do you know? They made what they call trump cards or playing cards. Not President Trump. Japanese call playing cards torampu randomly. Okay, not randomly. It's probably like an English thing or a German thing. But trump cards. They made playing cards. And then they became a video game company. And Nokia, they were a famous phone company. You young guys might not know, but they had the #1 phone for a long time. It was insane to think that they weren't a phone company. But before that, they made rubber boots. So I thought, well, we'll never progress past teaching only language, even though that's in our charter to have cats from zero and cocktails from zero or whatever you want from zero, like the For Dummies series was what we were supposed to be. That's all of our trademarks have that. We trademarked from zero and Japanese from zero. We trademarked taking you from zero to fluent. We have all these trademarks, but we've only really done language. So I thought, what's holding us back right now is all of our energy goes to these quarterly meetings where almost nothing gets done, if you think about it. And the website still has its bugs and still has things that aren't fixed. And we give up on a lot of bugs. I mean, there was a period maybe 3 years ago where we just deleted all of our bugs in our I think it was Asana or Monday, which is one of our management apps. We deleted everything at one point because it was too stressful. And I made the executive decision. I agreed. I was like, you know what? This is too much. You know what? Let's just delete it all. And if it's a real bug, it'll come up again. Someone will report it again. Can you know how sloppy that is as a company? You know how bad that is as a company? You know? So, long story short. No, I'll keep it long. So, I told everyone in the company, little by little, and the last guy was the CTO, the guy that built from zero. Really smart guy. And I think I said 2 sentences. I said like, maybe I spoke for less than 30 seconds. And he said he was going to resign. He didn't want to work that way. And I was pretty desperate to keep him, you know, even though I knew what it meant. I knew that I really wanted to use those guys on new projects, you know, and I want them to use AI, and he was using AI himself. So I know he knows the power of AI. He had been using Codex for stuff. And I mean, early on, he was saying, I'm going to become a prompt engineer. But not only is he actually able to code, but he's actually really good at prompting the AI. So without giving you all the details, I offered this guy a lot to stay. I even offered, I think the most insane thing that I offered him was, okay, look, because I thought this logic was solid. It's like, look, the way we do things right now is we provide you an idea, give you the specs as much as we can give you, and then you come back with what you think you understood what the specs were, and then we compromise back and forth. Okay, yeah, I guess that works, right? And we have another guy, Silt, that does the UI, the UX, and he'll come up with like a version. And we're like, yeah, okay, good. We sign off on it, they make it, and then we sign off that we agreed and it works, right? And it's been pretty effective for our way we had done it. I liked it, for sure. But I said, instead of that, how about I just build it? And I show you exactly what I want, 100%, no misunderstandings. You can look exactly how it works. And this is the insane part. I said, and then you can remove all the code, destroy everything the AI made so that it's 100% human made, rebuild it. I see now that's a dumb idea. I mean, that's just so stupid. But even that, he didn't agree to. He didn't agree to that. I was flabbergasted. I said, don't you see this is the perfect prototyping system? Like, there will be we won't even have to have a meeting unless you want to know exactly what you need a list up of what I think it should be doing. I'm going to show you what it should be doing. I'm going to show you what it should look like. And we can make changes later on. That's fine. No, he just didn't want to do it that way. I respect that. That's under his purview, you know. As much as I love the guy, he didn't want to do it that way. So amongst a bunch of other things I offered, in the end, he just didn't, you know, he really likes making the architecture of the website. I understand that. And I understand what it's like to not want to give up control of something you're working on, because I'm the same way. I don't really want to give up control, but I was willing to say, I'll never push to the website. I'll never update the website without your permission. You keep keep the control you have now, and all you're gonna do is be there for. I'm gonna take over part of the architecture. I have to, or else I'm not gonna be able to do what I want to do. I'm not gonna be able to. We were already architecturing it. We were already giving plans. I mean, the whole website itself is built off of built off of Yes Japan design. There's nothing super new on the website that's revolutionary. I would say study mode. Study mode was pretty amazing. I think the strongest parts of that website is study mode, right? But it's not like it was completely architectured by the devs anyway. I had a lot of say in it. I was just saying, now I want to be back into that role. He didn't want to do that, and I respect it. And so long story short, I got him to agree to stay up to a point and to be there for consulting. And I really hurt to lose him. After that phone call, after he hung up, man, I cried like a baby. I screamed, I cried. He's been with us for 7 years, extremely important guy. I didn't want to lose him. Now the path is much more clear. I see exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to be building this website. Eventually, I hope by October, please don't let me regret that particular prediction. We'll allow people that are on fromzero.com to sign into the test website via your fromzero.com access, and you'll be able to give beta feedback. But I think you'll be surprised. Even if I opened it today, I think you'd be surprised how amazing some of the new stuff is. Like a lot of new features that are really awesome, and a lot more simplification of how you go through the lessons. Maybe one or two controversial ones where you're like, really? Yeah, really. That's where I am. That's what I've been doing. That's why I haven't been live streaming. Another reason is my friend Violet, and we just talk all the time. Me and Violet are like the bestest buddy. I'm live streaming to Violet every single day. We co-work. She'll be working on her game. I'm working on the website. So I don't need the dopamine hit that I get from the live streams like before. That's a problem I got to work on. I probably need to just set schedules for live streaming. But I probably should have updated you guys earlier on what I'm doing, but it's been a real emotional roller coaster for me. I think everyone in the company at some point has thought, where do I fit anymore in this type of a company? And the answer is no one leaves unless they want to, unless they're voluntarily leaving. Because even if the people that are here aren't doing what they originally were doing as a coding, it doesn't mean anything. Because, Mike was originally a video editor. Mike was a video editor for Adventures in Asia. That was his idea to move it off of the main website. We came up with the Adventures in Asia concept, and Mike then took the role of being the cameraman for a point. He was the editor, and then one day he was just like, I really hate editing videos. I hate editing videos. Can I be a programmer? And I said, Mike, do you know how to program? He said, no. I said, okay. I know Mike would figure it out. I said, yeah, hey, but if you don't do it, I said, I'll have to let you go. I'm not going to bring back a video editor. It's not making any money anyway. But Mike's been insane. Mike's been great. So even if Mike doesn't, let's say that Mike never programs code again, I don't want to let Mike go because he's such a good guy for the company. You need people to run a company. You cannot, I don't care if you're starting a new company, you can't just do it all on AI. You need people. We have 2 artists. We now have the single dev. We have Kanako as a teacher. We have Hugo as customer service and Spanish from Zero. We have these people. They need to be here. It needs to be human driven. But what we're going to do with AI is accelerate and make things faster. But nothing goes out without human looking at it, right? And no lessons get made. No logic from lessons is ever AI. I don't ask it questions. I don't look for words that rhyme. I don't say, give me a word that ends in this. I don't any of that, okay? So that's where I am. Spin Me Around says, surely it would be pretty hard to re-enter the workforce after being in prison. So I'm sure Japanese would be a great skill for them. Pretty tragic since poor reintegration problems lead to repeat offenses. Yeah, I literally right before this video was watching this one of those like crime documentaries, and it was this girl, this 15-year-old girl, like another girl, and I'm like, your life is over. What do? You can't come back from that. Of course, she got a complete life sentence, so yeah, it's definitely over. But let's say you rob a store, you do something really stupid in your youth, and then you're for life, you're gonna have a hard time getting jobs. That's wow. I feel like it's okay for like the third time, maybe. I don't know, but I mean, if you murder someone, that's different. But I mean, it's such a desperate situation. I have nightmares of that, like going into jail for something is like the worst thing I could imagine. Do you know of any useful Tohoku slang that I can use during introductions? Oh, I have to go way back. I grew up in Tohoku. What is some Tohoku slang? Okay, I can give you like area words, like in the Tohoku, well, actually more Tohoku and Hokkaido area. There's different words for things. For example, cute is menkoi. Menkoi. That means cute in that area, in the northern part. And even if it's not exactly that area, because like in Hokkaido, there's Menkoi Terebi, cute TV. That's the name of the station or the show. I don't know if it's still there, but back in the day, you could just use it and it would still be funny. To say something's cold, like tsumetai, is shakkoi. Sha, chisai tsu, small tsu, koi. Shakkoi. And so you could just be like, shakkoi, oh, shakkoi. You do that, and they would be surprised at that. Those are two that I can give you. In terms of introductions, instead of saying G, you say Z. You know, like my name is Joji, but everyone would say Jozu, Jozu. And I used to always make the joke, oh yeah, I am pretty Jozu at those things, you know. They weren't saying I was Jozu, they were saying my name. So it's the accent's different, you know. Learn that accent, learn to like get a good like routine where you can be like, washi wa na mukasu, mukashi, because mukasu, mukasu yo sabeta kedo na, saki wa anmari shabenai, or you know, make it as Kansai, not Kansai, as Tohoku dialect as you can. Okay. Kyle, okay, so Kyle is one of the guys that I gave a hard copy to of the Spanish from Zero. I only had 5 of these made. He's also got a hard copy of my novel. Although I think he has stopped reading it, which is troubling to me. Because he needs to tell me where he stopped reading it, because that's good feedback for me. Like maybe he didn't like it. He read through the first part really quick, and then I heard nothing back. So I'm like, oh. But I probably offended him in some way. We have a little bit of arguments, me and him, over rapping, of all things. Little Valentine says, I'm sorry, but generative AI is super bad for the environment. And at the very least, you shouldn't use ChatGPT. It's harming not only the environment, but other creatives who companies steal from. I don't disagree. I'm going to tell you part of my reasoning. I get why people are against generative AI, but let me ask you, can we stop it? You know that Japanese from Zero is going to be getting money from Anthropic's settlement because our book, Japanese from Zero Book 1, got sucked into Anthropic. So Claude, the logic of Claude has some Japanese from Zero in there, okay? So I'm very much aware of my stuff getting stolen, and my book's been pirated heavily. And it's part of the reason why book sales are down. Although it's not the most recent book. The minute I put it in KDP, the minute I put it on a Kindle, it was over. You know, immediately. Humans destroyed that a little bit, okay? I think if you think historically into every new technology, I'm going to give you the craziest one. There was a epidemic, like a yellow fever epidemic, and the hospital was using ice to cool people down that had these really big fevers, right? These really high fevers. And so they're like hanging ice, and the ice would melt, and that cools the room. Well, back then, ice was cut from rivers in the north, and there was a man that they ended up calling the Ice King. Okay, there's a whole documentary that I watched on it. And he would cut up the ice, and he would bring it all over the country. He ended up making like $10 billion a year. It was insane. He even was sending it to like Europe and the Caribbean, and he built this amazing company with ice cut from rivers and distributed around, you know, into ice houses, right? And there was like icemen, and the icemen would bring ice to your house. They would put it through an ice slot, and you would have like an ice box, which was the pre-refrigerators, right? And this was how the world worked. And then this fever came along, and there's a doctor, and they're running out of ice. There's just not enough ice, and it's too expensive. So he vows that he's going to make a way to make ice, a man-made way. And he figures out refrigeration. And I believe that was the first Carrier. I think his name was Carrier, and that's the Carrier Ice Company. I might be remembering the facts wrong, but I believe that's what it was. He invented a way to make ice. And guess what? Some people said at the time, man-made ice is against God. God makes ice. They were against ice. Not the ice from Trump, the ice from actual cold water freezing. Okay? And the only thing that really shifted it around was, I guess, a few well-timed events where people got sick from bacteria in ice from rivers, but man-made ice didn't have that problem because it was pure. But people were against that. Let's go back even further. Socrates. Socrates, one of the great philosophers of the world, okay, not that I know a lot about him, okay, but he was against writing. Before we had a writing system, everything was in your head. And he thought once we have a writing system, people won't use their brain anymore. They'll just read it or write it, and it won't be in their head. And he wasn't wrong, right? But back in the day, they had these druids, or these people that were like information keepers in the palace, you know, and they knew all the information because there wasn't a writing system. They were the holders of knowledge, right? And then when your town got attacked or your country got attacked, the first people they would kill would be the druids, or I think that's what they were, right? They would kill these people because they had the knowledge, and you would effectively wipe out all the tech the tech or the information that society had, right? And then writing came along and really saved us, because now you could steal a book out, you could save a book from getting burned. You know, language stayed more permanent because it wasn't hidden in people's brains. But you see, even writing, if writing and ice can be against it, this generative AI, I get it. Its origins are dubious. My book as well is in there. And I remember early versions of ChatGPT was totally messing up questions about Japanese, hallucinating. But now it's insanely good. And I will tell you, before I knew our books got sucked into AI, I thought, why does this sound, and this is going to sound narcissistic, but I'm like, why does it sound like something I wrote? The wording is so good. It's the way I would have wrote it. It's insane. But even if you hadn't stolen other people's artwork, right? There's enough open source data out there that AI would still be good. You can still learn how to program from just looking at the programming functions that are available in each language. You could still read books from over 100 years ago and learn a scientific fact. There's no, we could say anything that is copyrighted by a human being that's alive today and is still not open source, remove it. We would still have AI. It would still be there, and people would still be using it. And I, as a business owner, I see every day on the Claude forums on Reddit, or new stuff coming up on Amazon, and new apps coming out. And every day, someone who's learning Japanese, or some guy like a Ken Cannon or a Matt versus Japan, or a guy I never met who's smart, will use this and make an app that's awesome. He'll make it. And he might even know the things that's in the app. He might not have it, but there's people making, here's my kanji app. It has every kanji in it. And he made it in like a week or two he doesn't know that information, but it's in the AI. So what do? Just say, I'm not going to ever use generative AI. Not for creating, I definitely won't. That's my hard line. But for building tools, abso-freaking-lutely, I have to. Because there's other people, like I said, that will build these things with me or without me, whatever stance I have. Just like if you wanted to only use ice from the river, you're going to be having a problem. And in the beginning of the internet, people weren't going to use the internet. My mother still doesn't use the internet. She refuses to use the internet. But where is she? She's left behind. I can't contact her unless I call her on the phone. I have to write her a freaking letter. I can't just say, hey, what's up? You know? And there are people that forever wouldn't pay their bills online. They still write checks, right? So people at every step of every new industry has been against it. But look at what's happening. AI's in everything now. There's nowhere where there isn't AI. Every search you make is in AI. And I'm going to tell you the future. I believe this is the future. Every device, this driver will have an AI module in it. And I will say, set your torque to 2, and it will do that. And the AI module will be like $1. Just like we have Bluetooth modules that used to be $5. Now they're 2 cents maybe. Bluetooth isn't everything. Wi-Fi everything can connect to Wi-Fi. Every little thing that you own that has electronics in it will have an AI module with a very specific AI to it. Your monitors are gonna say, hey, I'm in gaming mode. Psh, perfect. Hey, I'm having a problem with Flickr. Fix it. Boom, it'll fix it. You won't know other things, but it'll know. This camera that I'm looking at right now, I won't have to go into the settings. I'll just tell it what I want. That's where we're going. It's not going away. You know, they thought that the internet was a fad. Bill Gates said we'll never need more than 640K space. That's a kilobyte. That's not even a megabyte. Someone said the mouse was going to be a fad. So it's not going away. It's too powerful. It's insane. It's insane. And if you disagree with it, that's fine. If you can't trust that I'm saying every lesson out of what our company makes will be human driven, 100% human driven, then I understand if you don't stay. But 99% of the people won't even know. Look at Duolingo. Duolingo made the hugest mistake they could have made saying we're an AI company first. Did they lose money? I don't think so. There's negative repercussions for them saying that. But Duolingo, they're making lessons with AI. That's the thing I would never do. I don't respect that. But is it going to be bad enough for people to not use it? It was already bad. It was already bad. It already wasn't helping people learn the language. They're just going to make more money now quicker. You know? And I can't sit here and say we're going to never use AI to make tools. Not smart. Because like I said, there's thousands of people. Some people right now in the stream right now are already working on their app called Yomu, Yomeru, Dekiru, Suruzo, Kotoba, Rikai. They're going to all use these single Japanese words, give their name like Genki. You know, they're going to use these names and they're going to make a cool app. And it's going to do just enough. It's going to slowly whittle away at everyone else that did it by hand and everyone else that won't move into the modern era. Imagine I had a policy of I'm not going to use VBA for code to help me format the book. Well, this book wouldn't be done yet because I'd be constantly reformatting it, right? And I want you to know I'm going to stop using Word. I will, after I finish the websites, I will build a tool in AI that looks at my code that I already wrote in Word and I'm saying, build me this, take the website data and write my book out in the format that works for the printer. Not write my book out, output it. I'll do that. Because I already know exactly what I want. I know what I want it to look like. I just have something that's faster at doing it. So I know it's a controversial topic, almost like religion. Gonna definitely dive into Spanish from zero because I always thought Spanish would be easier to learn. Let me tell you an honest truth, Kyle. Spanish is hard. Like, I'm gonna tell you, Spanish is way harder than I was told. Like I was told, Spanish is the easiest language to learn for English speakers. I'm like, okay, maybe. But oh my God, the gender rules and I'm not saying this to sell the book. I'm not. I'm telling you, Spanish, I wrote a whole section about, let me see, what did I write here? Hang on. It's the myth of Spanish. I wrote it in here somewhere. Let me see this. It's a section called, it's 08, okay? Spanish is easy, is what I wrote. Hugo Canedo, a native Spanish speaker, began writing this book years before it was finally published. I, George Trombley, a native English speaker, joined after much of version 1 was written with a very limited understanding of Spanish. In fact, I learned most of the Spanish I know during our rewriting of Hugo's original work over the last 3 years. I was already fluent in Japanese and Korean and studied Chinese, which are considered difficult language for English speakers. It was my assumption for a long time that Spanish would be easy because of its similarity to English. However, I was wrong. While it's true, those parts of Spanish that are very easy, it's true, there are parts of Spanish that are very easy because of similarities to English. Other parts are so different that it makes my brain bend in ways it never bent with Asian languages. I will say that Spanish is absolutely the easiest language for an English speaker to learn, but be ready for parts that will challenge your English brain. The good news is that once you get past these basics and initial hurdles, Spanish is indeed easy. But it's hard, I'm going to tell you right now. To get past those initial hurdles was a lot for me. Gender for everything, plurality for adjectives, and the, and it blows your brain. So, yeah, it does. Brandon Sanderson's lectures really helped me with my book. Highly recommend it if you haven't seen them. I have not seen them. But I would say definitely, like, if you're trying to do something, don't try to reinvent the wheel. Look at what other people have done and learn from it. Spinning me around says, the other day, I watched Alex O'Connor's 100,000 subscriber live stream, and he read out your channel's name. He read out my channel's name after you sent a super chat, which I thought was pretty funny. Me? Alex O'Connor? I don't even know. I'm not sure I do not remember. Little Valentine says, do some research if you can on harm of AI. As much as you might like using it, there's a lot of people who won't feel comfortable learning from your books if they're worried you used AI for any of it. Well, hear me out. There's no AI in these books at all. There's no AI. The tools even used for this are me. Well, I have had sent code to ChatGPT and said, can you fix this bug in my code? I've done that. But there's no AI in the writing of this book at all. 100% me and Hugo. That I promise you. But the harm of AI, let's talk about it just for a second. So I use AI to write code, and it uses electricity and water. That's what people are talking about. True. But it uses electricity and water for me to host the website. Humans use electricity and water. I use electricity and water. Is it using more than a human or more than the hosting of the website? I don't know. I do think we need to have laws on, like, if you're using water for a data center, it needs to be cycled internally. You can't keep just using fresh water the whole time. Now, places like here in Nevada, okay, I'm in Las Vegas, we have some of the best water conservation probably in the world, okay? We use less water now, it's my understanding, than 20 years ago, and we have way more population. That's because we have really smart rules, like you can't have grass in decorative areas, and you get super heavily fined for water leakage. But every amount of water that goes down the drain gets 100% put back into the system. It's the water from irrigation that gets absorbed up, in Johatsu. What's Johatsu in English? Johatsu. Absorbed? No. What's the word Johatsu in? Alexa, Johatsu wa eigo de nan desu ka? Evaporation. Thank you. So it evaporates. That's where we lose water here. So I think data centers should definitely be using recycled water. As for the electricity, they should have to be solar. Doesn't that solve a lot of problems? But it's not going away. It's not going away. It's definitely not going away. There's no way. Every company that you know is going to be using AI, and they already are, and they're already firing people over it. And it's a huge problem, and I don't know how we're going to solve it. UBI won't be enough. What are we going to do? We have to completely go the Star Trek route. You can't just have everyone at the top making money, because number one, when there are no more jobs, who's going to be paying for the products that they're making? There's going to be a break point in society, but I don't see this going away. The only way to stop AI is laws, and our government right now wants a 10-year memoriam. Is that the word? A 10-year blockage on any AI regulation. You know what they're going to do in 10 years? It's insane what they've done in 4 or 5. But Little Valentine, rest assured, I'm aware. I'm very much aware. And it's this balance. It's like, well, what do I do? Just not So if I take the stance that I'm never going to use AI, I won't be a company. It will not exist. Not because, well, for the main reason that everyone else will keep using AI and they'll just surpass what we have. We won't be able to keep pace with them. It's just like a company that says we're never going to be on the internet. And there were companies like that back in the day. But do you exist if you're not on the internet? If I look up a pizza shop online and they're not in the maps, or they don't have a website with their menu back in the day, would I go to that pizza shop? No, I want to see reviews for it. I want to know if it's there. And if there's a less quality or a less delicious pizza shop, but they're on the internet, it's not like I'm not going to get in the phone book. I'm not going to walk around and poll pizza places, right? All right. It's a shallow thing to do, but if I smell an AI thumbnail or AI text, I will actively ignore it. Well, I still make my, I don't use AI thumbnails. For a while, I was using them on the Polyglot George channel, mostly because I thought it was fun. But I still use Photoshop. I have a style that I created. If you look at my recent N4 and N5 grammar stuff, that's me. I made that. And now AI does select me out of my photo. It's built into Photoshop now. You just say, select subject. That's not me. I'm not like hand figuring me out. Could you imagine that? I could do it in 1 second, or I could take, 30 seconds or so. But I could just hit a button and do it for pulling me out of the background. I'm going to do that, you know? Oh, shoot. Persian Ranger viewer says, at Little Valentine, can you respectfully shut your mouth up? Not everyone is your slave to do what you desire. First of all, you were talking to a teacher with 20 years of experience. Put out some respect. Wait, what did Valentine say? What did he say? I mean, that's what I was responding to, but I didn't think it was disrespectful. Guys, let's not, okay. Yeah, he's saying, he was just saying do some research. That's okay. Look, that's respectful. You know, early on in Japanese from Zero, when we were doing those versions that we were printing on a copy machine, and we were selling them, I got back, one was sent back to me and they demanded a refund. And they said, you call this an education book? And they listed all the reasons why it was bad. And you know what? I was angry because that was rude, but it wasn't wrong. And that's why the books are so good today. Because when someone tells you you're doing something wrong, you do it. And I understand I understand the problem with generative AI. Okay. I understand that you can't just fire people and use their work in AI. I wouldn't want that for myself. So I'm not going to do it to anyone at our company. You know, to Mike who stayed, I said, look, you need to use AI because it's faster, but I need you to learn all of this stuff. I need you to know what it's doing. Like, I'm not going to pay attention to the payment system. I'm going to pay attention to my content and how it's displayed. I'm going to build the tools to display the content with AI. But if you think, and this is, I hate having to say this because it sounds like I'm justifying, and maybe it is, but if I wasn't building with AI, if I wasn't there, it wouldn't be as good as it is. Does that make sense? The stuff that I'm building is awesome because I'm there. The AI doesn't just build awesome. It's cool. If you have nothing, it's awesome. But when you have a goal in mind and you're building a thing that's already been in existence for 20 years, it will not be what you want just from AI. You have to craft it. And I'm not exaggerating when I tell you, I feel like a freaking genius every step of the way when I come up with the solution that AI was in its world trying to figure out. And I go, why don't we just do this? Because AI can't step away from what it knows. I can go, wait a minute. There's a better way to do it. I spent at each of these big sections that I've been working on hours just saying, no, that doesn't work. No. Try this. And eventually it hits me. Oh my God, if we did it this way, it would work. So I know that AI is only a tool for me to create the things that I want to create, but I am still the creator. Nothing that I'm building is AI. There's no AI only. There's no bring me in all the data for content. You know, that data is hand input from way back in the day. Conoco, who's been my employee for 18 years, I said, listen, I could build a tool for you to input this, but it's too much work. And what I need you to do is do the kanji and then a tab and then the onyomi and then the kunyomi and then the strokes, tab, tab, tab. And then I built a way to import it into the database. That's the code we use today. Not the code, but that's how the data got there. It's not pulled from a source. Okay. AI hate is so forced. I agree. And I do think it's a minor crap. I think I went to Georgia to see my mother. No one knows about AI there. They have no idea. Not everybody, but people aren't thinking about AI. Most people aren't. It's me and my bubble. It's the same with VFX hate. Yeah, it's true. You know, are you gonna not use Blender to create? Are you gonna go into Blender to do 3D and say, I'm gonna calculate all of the rotations of this product? I'm not gonna use code to do it. AI is just a fancy way for making code for me. Okay. Persian says, secondary, if you actually bought his books, you would have noticed that George Sensei even states in his books that he doesn't use AI. Yeah, I will read the AI statement. I've updated it since then, but let me read my AI statement. Okay. About how we created the book. Okay. First paragraph, usage of AI. No AI was used to write any part of this book. Every word was personally crafted by Hugo and I, George. Each grammar was debated, refined, and built from our human brains. Additionally, multiple reviews of the book were done by living Spanish teachers and not AI. The book art, Spanish character on the cover was drawn by our staff artist Haruna. That was the original version, okay? And the cover designed by me personally. I designed the cover, the original version. We had Silt make Haruna's art into this style because that's the style that we're moving to. There's another version. Maybe we'll release it eventually as like a special cover, but it's Haruna's version. But it wasn't as good as this version. The internal art in the book is a mix of Haruna, Silt, or crafted by us using licensed clip art. But even in the licensed clip art, we never use art created by AI, even from the sites we license. There's a button to say, don't show AI art. I don't even use AI art from the clip art websites where we get some of our base art, okay? Typos and errors. Since, as we mentioned, this book is completely human created, occasionally you might see typos or other unintentional errors, despite our best efforts to eliminate them. We would love to hear about them so we can fix them. In the event that you do find them, well, that's just in that section, but if it was AI written, we wouldn't have typos like that. We literally suck. There's typos. Even after all these edits, there's going to be typos. And even all of this, like if you look at these heads right here, this is a font that I made. I made a font out of the heads from clip art. I cut them down to size. I modified them, gave them black hair and whatnot, and I made fonts for the heads of the like this is all of this stuff here. There's clip art in here, but there's also modifications made to clip art. Not on this page. These are all the clip art as is. All of these graphics are made by me, except for the clip art parts, right? This is clip art, this clip art. But these are all made by me. These noodle soups was originally clip art, and then I modified them to do the different types of noodles. It's made out of love, not AI. I do not respect any book written in AI. You know what really sucks is my novel has an AI character in it, and the AI character was before ChatGPT was released. Only Dolly had been out at that point. And I wrote this whole AI character in the book. It's part of the book, right? Luckily not important enough for the book to have to be trashed. But I had to go back and rewrite the whole book after ChatGPT came out. Because you started talking to ChatGPT and you're like, oh, this is what it's going to be like, you know? Okay. Kyle says, the value of From Zero is literally their personal style. If it was AI, it'd be a dime a dozen. That's why I exclusively recommend JFC to noobs. To noobs. I don't like the word noobs. It's so offensive. Even the cover art was done by a human. Let's all chill. I work in here we're gonna another web dev. Barsmon Barber says I work in web dev, and it's stupid for companies to not use AI to code for sure. It's not perfect, but it's quicker and better. The mistake can be fixed after. You know, with the code, I found like there's so many rules I had to put in place and so many design guidelines I had to give because AI is like a genius idiot savant. It's insanely smart, but it doesn't have the logic yet, right? So for example, when you're creating a lesson in our tools, when I delete something, it would just pop up delete and it would give you an okay button. I said, okay, well, first of all, you should never be able to delete, to be able to delete easily a big section of a lesson. So I wrote a rule that says if there's a delete button, okay, and it's of an area or an element that isn't empty, you have to type delete. I have that same rule on From Zero, but I gave it to the AI, and so it did that. So I have to type delete if it's not empty. And then I would write another section and it wouldn't do it again. I'd say, okay, wait a minute. Okay, remember we have to have the delete typing for this. It's not empty. I did that a few times and I noticed, I started looking at the code. It wrote that same function 6 times. And I was like, oh, it's so dumb. It doesn't realize it needs to use the same function. So then I had to start writing like Bibles, little sound button Bibles and UI guidelines. And I say always, and then I had to build sub agents to check that. So never write the same code again if it already exists. And then I had to have it go back and do that. I had to have it make the coding for different languages. I had to make it language agnostic. It was making all of these weird exceptions for Spanish and Chinese and Japanese. I'm like, no, a code that displays example sentences is gonna just display example sentences regardless of the language. If it needs furigana, or if it needs accent marks, or if it needs romanization for Korean or pinyin for Chinese, that's a language configuration, not a new file called examples Chinese, examples Japanese. So I had to go back and do tons of cleanup work on the code and get it to not do that. And I still fight with it today. I still tell it, no, that editor, why would it be different here than it is there? So it's being 100%, by the way, the term is apparently called vibe engineering. So you're actually involved in the engineering. You're not just letting it make it. Okay. Now, if I'm talking about some non-mission critical thing, like I built, here, I'll show you a thing that I built. Hang on. Give me a second. Where did it pop up? There it is. Okay. So, give me a second. Let me close all this down. Too much stuff on. Okay. How can I share this? It's been a while, guys. I haven't live streamed in forever. Should be showing this monitor. Let me not. I gotta be really careful not to dox myself all the time. I'm such a doxer. I'm gonna put the chat down here. All right, we should be good. See, that's not the right one. There it is. Okay, so this is my vibe coded. This is my it's called Kashi Oke. So I wrote a bunch of songs, right? I wrote songs, and then I sent the lyrics to Suno, which is an AI that makes music based on the lyrics that you give it, or it'll write lyrics for you. So most of these songs are songs that I wrote for an album called Polyglot Thirst, where it's a man that learns Japanese because he loves the girls, and he learns Korean because he loves the girls. Essentially my story, right? Then he learns Chinese and Vietnamese. And so these are the songs that I wrote, but because I wrote them, they're not songs that are available on my karaoke machine, my karaoke machine. So I wanted to have karaoke for my machine. So I said, hey, I want to build a thing that takes my song and does that thing where it's like the little yellow words going across the screen, right? So for example, here, we'll do a live concert for the I Love Japanese Girls a little bit. All right, we'll get some reverb on here. All right, so we'll go. Where's I Love Japanese Girls? Okay, so these are the lyrics that I wrote. Okay, and this is the aftermath of running alignment using Whisper, which is from ChatGPT, and Claude. I think actually Codex wrote this one. And I went through. I spent like a day and a half if you add up all the time, just like saying, no, fix this, no, I want this, I want that. And then just really getting it to be better at doing what it did. And then, so this is the preview mode. Okay. Let's see if this plays at all. Hang on. Okay. I think you heard that, right? So this is the vocal version. This is the karaoke version here. I love Japanese girls, yes I do.
Damn straight I do.
I love Japanese girls, you bet I do.
Hell yes I do.
Ooh. When I was 12 years old, my dad took me to Japan. My life changed a lot, and I became a man. On the airplane there, I met a beautiful girl. She was the stewardess, but she rocked my world. A perfect specimen, like a Kokeshi doll. From the era of Meiji, towering 6 feet tall. She served me well, bring tea and chips. I wasn't really hungry, I just stared at her hips. All right, so you can see, that's AI. Would I have built that by myself? No, it's too much work. Here, just because we're having fun, and I like singing, we'll do the one of the final songs in that album. There's like 14. This is the One-Eyed Girl. So this is where now I go to space. I go to space as my polyglot, and I'm going to learn that language. Hopefully the timing's good. This is what I've been working on. After all this time, I've tried more flavors than I can remember. Time's flown fast. I went to bed at 7, but somehow woke up in December. There's a lot not to believe. One being how my wife hasn't left me by now. A lot's happened in my life, but this next part is just wow. I can't count all the languages I've learned, it took me 80 years. I can't count all the money I've earned just by taming all my fears. Who cares about mistakes? Mistakes just hold you hostage. I'm not like the language guru fakes, I send all my words with extra postage. This is where my story shifts, it's not what you'd expect. The ship zooms up, my body lifts, I scream, what the heck? In a circular room, I sit by myself, the stars flying by the window. A single book sits on a shelf, but I don't understand the lingo. The door slid open and she slid in. She didn't have legs, but her body was thin. Hovering in the air, her single eye looking into my soul. My heart was racing, I was entranced, but that wasn't my goal. Not knowing what to say, I said, take me to your leader. Her body began to sway as she said, Gleep plog movie Dieter. Movie Dieter? What's that? What's this alien language? I'm a linguist, let me give it a shot. I said, Gleep, pointing to her, she responded, Moopy Dieter. Moopy Dieter's her name for sure, now it's mine that I will teach her. I said, Gleep plog George, followed by Gleep plog human being. Her eye lit up and then she said, click, click, George, click, 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 human being. The door slid open and she stealthily slid in. She didn't have legs per se, but her body was sexy thin. Hovering in the air, her single eye peered into my soul. My heart was racing, I was entranced, but no way was that my goal. All right, enough indulgence. So, that's AI. AI made that for me. Something I wanted, and it built it. And I built friend bots so I could search easier through Discord messages with my friend Violet. which was a little bit scary because it was literally able to figure out all of our family members, menstrual cycles, hair color, where we work, addresses, because of a conversation that we had in Discord. And imagine the government has all of that and AI is going through all of it. It knows everything about you. It's insane. I probably lost a lot of people on that. Like, what's this guy? He's singing all of a sudden? All right, let's try to get through some of these these comments. I should put my other glasses on. These are my outdated glasses. Makes me always have to look up a lot. Okay. That's why I love AI. It's like the best intern ever. True. Please don't fire your devs yet. I haven't fired anybody. The one guy's leaving. I haven't fired anybody. And I won't. There's no plan to do that. Spinning me around says, I've never used AI for web dev, but I can imagine it follows proper dev scopes by default without direct prompting. And even then, still potentially being a risk. Yes, it is potentially a risk for sure. I'm going to be removing database access from Claude and Codex because of just horror stories I've written where it deletes the entire database. So that will only be me that can update the submit to the database or directly interact with it. Not in this stage of development, I'm not worried about deleting everything because I can rebuild it. And I have backups. AI isn't bad necessarily, but we as people are pretty shallow. So when we see something that looks AI generated, we will skip. We will actively ignore it. You say that, but I have watched really well-written stories done in AI that are just like, wow, this is good. I'm enjoying this. It wouldn't have been possible. You know, I think I saw someone say, it's crazy that for years and years, like decades, we've worked on making human models, right? And building like CGI versions of people, but it took AI to do it and make it look so real that you can't tell. It is getting so good that you just cannot tell anymore. And it will only get better. And we will have full-blown movies written in AI. I've already watched 15-minute short ones that are, the story needs to be worked on, but that's not the AI's fault because the person was prompting it, giving it storylines, and the story wasn't good. But I've seen full-blown music videos that are like, wow, this is insane. Stephen King 1 says, is there any reason why Japanese from Zero is not supported on the Amazon Kindle Scribe? Yes, there is. I ended up buying the 5-book series because the sample worked, but only book 2 will download. Rest aren't compatible. The reason is this. I never was copied. The books were never pirated. And then I put them out on Kindle, first editions, like version 5 is like all of the current versions on Kindle are outdated for the most part. Because I put them out and immediately there was print copies of the books. Pirate copies of the books taken from the Kindle. Because essentially Kindle in the format we were giving is a PDF. And there's easy ways to take it down. And so I vowed from that point never to release another Kindle book. So that's why all of the pirate versions are bad. They're the older versions. And that's why it's not supporting some of the newer things that Kindle does. Now, once I finish the website, I will use AI to help me write a way to put the book out in a different format that will be better for Kindle. Instead of the PDF version, which is the only way I knew how to do it at the time, it'll be a flow format. So you'll be able to select things, make notes, highlight, which you can't do right now in the current book. And it will be updated and maintained by the code that I write with AI. It's just not, it was going to cost $7,000 per book to do it the way that I wanted to do it without getting it, because that new format wouldn't be easy to pirate. It was really a problem. I was going to shut down the company a few years back. Once it hit, and you guys worry about, a lot of people worry about AI. Humans are stupid too. Humans will destroy a company faster than AI will destroy a company. If someone gets the chance in another country to just steal your book, or even in America, and then put it up on Amazon, they will, because they did. And then the book was sitting there a penny less than what we were selling it for. And the algorithm on Amazon said, oh, cheaper version of the book, let's just take it. And that became our main. And I called Justin. Things were bad. I'm like, you know what are we going to do? Who are we going to fire and in what order? AI hasn't made me want to fire anybody. Only initially when I was like, well, what are these guys going to do? And I said earlier, I was really struggling because, and then I realized the company needs to change. I'll need people to change the company. If the company's going to survive into an era where maybe language learning isn't as viable, what are we going to do next? And trust me, I have ideas, and I already gave those ideas. That was one of the things I was pushing with the dev that decided to leave. I said, here's an idea that I have, and I think it's stronger than what we have right now. And I think it's a solid idea. It's a solid idea that I wanted to do for a while. I said, we can build it now. Once we're not saddled with all of the coding of From Zero, which could just be this awesome website that has our awesome materials in a way with awesome games and awesome, like what's our notebook doing on From Zero? Nothing. There's no SRS on From Zero using your notebook. Wouldn't that be cool? You know, among other things. So anyway, that's why it's not Kindle Scribe. I wish it was. Would I ever rewrite Japanese From Zero Book 1? I did rewrite it. The current version, which is now 2 years old, was completely rewritten. And I will say this, when I'm putting it into the website, I'm rewriting it for the website now too, because the website's a little bit of a different model. I'm rewriting it differently. It's a much more in-your-face approach from the website. For some reason, it ends up being that way. Also, I have live narration of everything on the website now, and hearing the narration, it needs to be different. Narrated stuff is different than stuff that's read all by yourself in a book. So I've been trying not to do it right now because I'm really just trying to build all of the tools to make the website function properly. But it's been quite a struggle to not want to rewrite, but I have been rewriting. Usodaro says, I had to use AI to be able to understand GTK documentation. Not sure what GTK is. Violet says, if you know programming and you use it, it's being used as a tool. Yep. Well, that's the thing. Like a lot of the big solutions that I was able to give to AI is because I understand coding. I wasn't giving it the coding answer. I was giving it the logic answer. Because, when I first built yesjapan.com, it was TTIJapanese.com back in the day. There weren't any frameworks. Do you understand? There was no frameworks. Being against I would be like me being against frameworks back in the day. Like when jQuery came out, I didn't want to use jQuery. I was like, I'll build it myself with JavaScript. I can write JavaScript. But then I saw how amazing jQuery was, and I built a bunch of games right away in jQuery because it was easier to manipulate the DOM. It was just so much easier. And then I used jQuery. And at the time I had a company called Hello Store USA where we were selling like Morning Musume and all of the girl groups from Hello Store, Hello Project. And there was another company that had licensed photos from them. They had over 25,000 photos, and I got permission to sell those photos. I said, hey, can we also bring those photos into our catalog and sell them? They said this. I said, okay, can you send me over the photos in a zip? So I can put them on the website and like a database or an Excel sheet of all of the photos. They said, we don't have it. We just don't have that. I go, oh, I built a scraper. I wrote a scraper using jQuery and going through the DOM and saying, okay, this is a photo. This is the user. This is the girl's name. This is the price that they have. And overnight I let it run. I got permission and I let it run. And I added 25,000 products to the database overnight. And I had it calculate what price we would sell it for and all of that overnight. Now imagine you could do cool stuff like that with AI. You can say, I want you to write a tool that does this. AI isn't doing anything on the website by the way. AI is not running on the website. AI is just building the tools that run on the website. You're not going to go into, a website that I build currently, at least. I don't know what things might change, but you're not going to say, ask it something and then an AI is going to answer it. None of that's there. We have a teacher that answers questions. That's it. Will the AI help her format the question in terms of like like right now, if you go to, I'll show you a problem right now with From Zero. Hang on. Give me a second. I'll show you one of the things that AI is going to fix for us through its raw processing power. All right, here we go. I almost put my glasses on again. All right, look. So right here, this is From Zero, the current version of From Zero, right? And you click on, let's see, I gotta find the lesson that I remember seeing this on. Maybe it's already been fixed. All right, this one's good. That's not the one. Maybe it got fixed because I brought attention to it. How do I get into the Ask a Teachers? I don't even... Where are the Ask a Teachers? Let's see. Let's click on this. We'll click on not unanswered. I actually don't know even how to get to this. See all the latest. Okay. I guess this one right here. Okay. So this is cool. So look at this. So the student sends up this question, right? And you can see right here, we have Japanese. Oops.
あなたの車は新しいですか?
So we have the Japanese here, but this is what it looks like if you're a student, okay? Which is great, but these questions are on the internet. These are great, like people search for this question about wa and ga, and it comes up, right? But watch this. If I go to an in private window and I'm not logged in and I go to that question, look what happens. Look at that. Is that okay? Anata no what's that shi desu ka? Anata no kanji. Well, this wouldn't happen. You know, this was designed by humans. Oh, let me hear, you know what? Let me say something really important. The AI isn't going to solve these problems. George Trombley using AI and paying attention to this level of detail will solve these problems. This is supposed to have furigana data on it, but it doesn't. Okay? And the website, the current website itself has the ability to add furigana, but it's not built into the Ask a Teacher. Well, this is something that we have to go back into the database and fix anything that doesn't have proper furigana. And that's something I'll use AI to do. There'll be a tool for us to do that, right? And it won't actually be AI. It'll be a tool written by me using AI as an accelerator so I can do it quicker. Like these are all done right. Like these, if you're logged in, let me close this out. If you're logged in, see how this has furigana on it? That's because this is done right. This up here wasn't done right. This wasn't turned into furigana. That shouldn't happen though. So if I go into, progressive mode, it should show that. If I go into kana mode, it should show just kana. This is good. So it's stuff like that that needs to be fixed. And it's stuff like that that gets put on the back burner because there's more bigger initiatives for us to fix. Like I actually pointed this out and it still hasn't been fixed. No dev has fixed it. It's not priority, but I would have fixed it. It would have bothered me, so I would have fixed it, but I wasn't debbing on the website. So essentially, because I have now Codex and Claude Code, I can now go back to deving without having the insane burden of coding everything. Because you know what? I still need to write books. I still need to make videos. I'm doing all of that. So that's what I have to say about that. I didn't mean to make this all about AI, but it's a big topic. Yeah, Violet, if you read what Violet is saying, I've watched her develop her game. It's the same thing. Her human logic is building that game. The AI is not as smart. It's insanely smart, but dumb in so many ways. And she's actually done all of the art for her game. Every part of it. It's insane talent. People like Violet are going to build amazing things because they can get over the hurdles of having to write every moment of code. Kyle says to Violet, what about someone like me who doesn't know code, but knows how coding logic works, and I work through repeated prompts? You could do it. You absolutely could, Kyle. I'm having a meeting with my friend Kathy to show her how to do it. I'm going to show her how she can improve her business model and accelerate what she does by using AI tools and building tools to help her. 100% I'm going to do that. And if I wasn't a Japanese teacher, that would be my business. I would consult people on how to do AI and build your business. Because there's going to be a ton of people that don't do anything with AI or never figure it out. And they will go to their grave not doing it. And then there'll be people like my friend Kathy and Violet and other people, and they will build amazing things using these tools. But there's a lot of people that don't know how to use Photoshop, right? A lot of people, I would say the majority of people don't know how to use Photoshop, but then there are people that use Photoshop, and Photoshop has clone tool, you know, and all of the stamp tool, and you know, magnet, lasso. There's all sorts of tools that are there. And now they've added a tool where you can select an object and turn it into something else. It's just another tool. So the difference is that George actually knows code. No, not even that, because I don't know the code. You know, Kyle, I don't know the code that that's being spit out by ChatGPT or Codex. I'm looking at it and I go, okay. I'm learning from it. I go, okay. I just learned what hydration was. I didn't know what hydration was. That's a new thing. It wasn't a term back in the day. Like everything that I created before what I'm doing now was server-side generated. In other words, I would calculate everything that's on the screen from the server. And then once Ajax became a thing, which I don't even know if anyone knows what that is that starts coding today, but Ajax is you would send data back to the server, get it to generate new code for that particular section, and then replace that section of data. You don't need to know that now, Kyle. You could write that. You could say, oh, if I click this, I want it to do this, and AI will figure it out. So, I do know a lot of code, and I wrote way more code than I should have ever written. I wrote a ton of code. Now I don't have to. But you know what's really cool? I took code that I wrote in VBA, in Visual Basic, that I hand wrote for something to do with furigana, okay, in Word, and I gave it to Claude, and I said, use this code here. And it said, oh, I see what you've done. Okay. And it used the logic. Maybe it fluffed me a little bit, but I had to figure out how to convert Romaji. It's for the progressive system was what it's for. And it's using that logic today. That's the code that I used. How can we beta test? Well, it is running on a website right now, but I update it too frequently. Like every time I commit to the repo, there's a service called Railway that then pushes it. Railway and Neon, like these are all it's like a serverless site, but it gets pushed. So even if you created an account right now, it would get disappeared. Once I get further along, I'm going to build single server authorization, or OAuth, I think, and you can use your from zero account to log into it, and then I'll let you test it, but not until I get like course 1 up, you know. And as I'm building a bunch of stuff for course 1, and I want testing on that, but it'll be anyone that has a paying account on from zero will be able to access it. I am 30 minutes behind. I'm sorry. I'm so far behind on this. Yeah, I'm reading stuff from 5 minutes ago right now, though. I just wanted to say, Joshua Partington says, I just wanted to say I've been watching your videos for years, and it's thanks to your teachings that my friends now consider me the go-to translator when we travel to Japan. Love from Spain. Ooh, hey, Joshua, I'm planning a trip eventually to go to Spain. Maybe later this year, maybe, theoretically. I've been planning that for a couple of years, but if I mention it, let's hang out. There's a friend already I'm going to be meeting in Spain. I forget where she is. Something Cedra, some name like that. At Violet, I want to play your game. Her game is really fun. So her game, so Violet works at a bank, and she's building like a bank simulator type game. I'm not going to ruin it beyond that, but it's well thought out. I played multiple versions of it as she's been developing it, and it's really getting good. Jiranu Speedruns says, I started watching Japanese Sim Zero like 9 years ago, and this is my first live stream I've ever watched. Well, to be fair, I don't really live stream much on this channel. Normally I was live streaming on Polyglot George or the George Trombley channel, but even there I don't do much anymore. Will there be a one-time purchase option on the website for JFC Premium? We have talked about that quite a bit. Little nugget. It a lot of companies do that, and I'll tell you the logic behind it. So you can run analytics and you can see the average user, for example, let's say your mean average user in the lifetime of their account, they spend $200, for example. So let's say it's $12 a month. They go an average of like a little bit before 2 years they quit, for example. So then $200. So you say, well, if that's the longest that most people are staying, for example, is let's say you look at the long end and you say, well, a lot of people will stay for $220 worth of the site. Then you go, why don't we offer a $300 lifetime? And then we'll get more money than they would have spent on average. So it's a good deal for the company. It is. So we've thought about it. So would it eventually be like, oh, $249 and you get lifetime access? Lifetime access means as long as the company's around. What if the company fails? It's tricky, right? But if you're on a year plan, we just stop taking year plans. If we start feeling shaky, if the company's feeling like, oh, we might not be around, because Spirit Airlines just closed up, but they were still selling tickets, round trip tickets for after a point when they were going to be closed down. There's people that can't fly out of their destinations because Spirit doesn't exist anymore. That airline is gone as of yesterday. I believe it was yesterday. So one of the reasons we don't do that doesn't mean we won't, because we've talked about it. And I'll tell you why we talk about it. Sometimes it's a Hail Mary. It's like we're in the red right now. We've been in the red for like 2 years at this company, right? Like writing on the red, right? And then we'll do like a special book cover sale, and that'll pull us out of the red. And then so we're right on the edge always of the red, right? So one of the things we talk about in planning is like, well, we'll do a one-time, because we never do it. People would flock to a lifetime deal, and we'll get $200 or $300 per person, however many thousands of people maybe theoretically take advantage of it. You think about those things. So eventually, but it's not high priority. My high priority is getting a website that has all the functions I want and having an easier to expand on website. Like if I had a website that had easier to create tools, I would have continued building the Hitokoto video series. I would have built the Kansai from Zero course lesson instead of just the video version of it. There's things I would have done, but there's only so much you can ask the human coders to do. There's only so much bandwidth that the company has, that there's no other option than to use these insane tools that are available now. These tools are insane. I want you to know they are insanely good at coding. My friend says you should have Spanish from Zero. This is Spanish from Zero. It is, I think it shows up already on Amazon for pre-order. We're maybe 2 weeks away from it being done. Let's see. If I type Spanish from Zero, what? Spanish from Zero, let's see. Everyone on their family is using Spanish from Zero already. There's even a book called Spanish from Zero. That's not mine. Eventually, we're gonna have to crack down on that, because we do have we do own the trademark Spanish from Zero. I guess it doesn't show. Oh, there it is. There, I'll show you. It's right there. See, it accidentally released on the 15th of last month, and I couldn't stop it from. Yeah, it's gonna be here. Add to your list. It's coming. This is where it will be. And it'll, I think it's going to be just $30, I think. This is it. I don't think, can you even look inside yet? Nope, there's no look inside. But it's there. And it will be there. Definitely, I'm pretty sure this month, because the cover's already set. We've done the final editing on lesson 17, which was the big stickler for us. So it's coming. Simply Shelby says, I 100% would spend $300 on lifetime access, and I'm only on book 1. It's a good thing, because if you do a lifetime access, you do harness you do harness people that are excited in the beginning. It's a really quick way to make money for a company. Migaku's doing it right now. I see all their ads are all about their $250 lifetime. Migaku. And all these companies with like one Japanese verb for their name. Oh, at Japanizer. Haven't seen you in a while. Do I think Hello Talk is still good for language exchange, or do you recommend something else? I don't know what's happening. Hello Talk already lost my interest a while back. They're so focusing on just making money that it's not the experience it used to be, but I don't know if there's anything better yet. And a lot of they've made incentives for people to post and stuff like that. So there's a lot of, it used to be genuine language learners were on Hello Talk. Now it's a lot of people that are wannabe teachers on Hello Talk. It's not the same experience. It's like, oh, I could talk to you, but you know, you should check out my lessons, kind of a thing. It's not. I think there's a lot of that. And Hello Talk for a while was pushing their own like access to lessons, and I'm like, wait a minute, I was here to learn by talking to people, not to pay you an amount for lessons. And then I used to have lifetime access, and that got taken away. It's not. I'm no longer lifetime, so I don't know what happened. I paid for that. Where is it? You just took that away? Yeah, you can't pre-order apparently, though. I thought you could, but yeah, you can't pre-order Spanish from zero. The problem with Spanish in the south of Spain are heavily regional accents, which confuse a lot of people starting out. Yeah, I mean, you know, the country with the most Spanish speakers is Mexico, believe it or not. So we based it mostly on, you know, a central version of Spanish, but like we don't talk about vosotros and stuff like that. We give a little bit of an example of what that is, but we don't talk about it. I forgot what it's called. Starts with a C. The Spanish in Spain with like the lisp, the th sound, we don't do that either. Although it comes up every now and then in the sounds, and I have to like tamp it down. I actually came across your book in Dallas at Kinokuniya. Yeah, Kinokuniya is a good supporter of our series. They stock it. I'm glad you loved it, Simply Shelby. Will it be full? So it will be full of ads, funky bots, and AI where it shouldn't be, and not where it should be. It also just kind of act like a dating app, in my opinion. That's about Hello Talk. Yeah, I agree. There's definitely a lot of AI posting now to get credibility. It's not like the old days, for sure. That's everything, though. Everything is spamming with AI right now. What about Chilean Spanish? You know what's funny? We talk about Chilean Spanish. I think it was when we were talking about the word cool, chico. Where is that? That's early on. I thought we talked about regional differences. Let me see if I can find it. How long ago? Where was that, man? Gosh. Every one of these pages is a huge memory for me. The insane amount of work to make even that graphic right there. This one on the other page over here. That was a lot of work. Like there's one of the graphics. Hugo's brother did one of the graphics. A Mexican wrestling match mask. See if I can find that thing. This is Haruna art in here. Can't find it. I mean, sometimes we would just spend the entire day building artwork. Oh, that's weird. That printed weird. Luckily, it's not important. It's not about teaching. Guess I'm not going to find that graphic I was looking for. Talk about the different ways to say cool regionally. We're just teaching like a general Spanish, you know, that would work in all of the countries. You know, I was listening to Portuguese the other day and I thought, wait a minute, this sounds a lot like Spanish. I'm guessing Portuguese would be a nice step after Spanish. Maybe Portuguese from zero would work. I'd have to find a native Portuguese person, although it seems like Hugo knows a lot about Portuguese. Where is this thing? Oh my God, that was funny. I don't know. Can't find it. Look at that. We got to the end of the chat. Usodaro says Portuguese is very similar to Spanish. You speak Portuguese. Nice. I used to talk to a guy that was from Argentina. Was he Argentina? I don't think that's Portuguese though. What do they speak in Argentina? Alexa, what do they speak in Argentina?
The official language of Argentina is Spanish.
Spanish.
However, English, French, German, Italian, and Mapudungun are also.
No, it was Venezuela. Alexa, what do they speak in Venezuela?
The official languages of Venezuela are Spanish and Venezuelan Sign Language.
Oh, all right. No, yeah, he was Venezuelan. I thought that was Portuguese maybe, but it's not. I mean, you can say the same thing about English. Like, there's so many variants of English, right? When you learn English, what are you going to learn? American English, British English, Australian English, Indian English. Like, so you just have to pick like you have to pick a lane and just let people know that's what you're in. So we teach a central, not central, but like a, let's see, I think I wrote something about it. Let me see what I wrote. A world of Spanish. Where do I write this? Oh, here we go. Let's talk a little bit here. A world of Spanish. Spanish is the second most commonly spoken language when counting just native speakers. It's the official or most commonly spoken language in 20 countries and the United States territory, Puerto Rico. Just like English has regional differences in the United States or the United Kingdom, Spanish also has slight variations depending on where it's spoke. Normally, this is limited to words unique to that area's culture and or history. While there are minor differences in Spanish depending on the country, this book will focus on a general Spanish understood in all Spanish-speaking countries. Even with regional differences in Spanish, most foreign language movies and TV shows from America, Japan, etc. are dubbed in Mexican Spanish, which is considered the standard. I did not know that before we wrote this book. At times, there may be a slight lean towards Mexican Spanish, as it is the most popular variant, and the co-author of the book is from Mexico. From time to time, we will point out key differences in other Spanish variants. And then we give a list of the populations that speak Spanish. Mexico has 130 million speakers. That's Mexican Spanish. Colombian is 50 million. That's Colombian Spanish. Spain, the origination of Spanish, has 47 million. So Mexico almost has 3 times the speakers of Spain. And Argentina has almost as many as Spain itself. So most people learn American English for the convenience and online social media. That's true. Australian is the best English. Can we just agree though? Australians are the best. All right, guys. I think that's long enough. I went for a good 2 hours and 18 minutes, unless there's any pressing issues that you guys want to talk about. I think that's a good place for me to end, get some food, chillax for a while. Anyway, thanks for coming. There will be book 5 videos coming. There's 2 more, like I said. And there is one thing I'm going to do. I did build the presentation software. I call it Japanese Playground, but I am going to reintegrate it now. Now that I've built better tools on the new version of the website, the version that's local, I'm going to integrate the Japanese Playground into there. After I do that, I'll build more videos. A new game? No, there's no new game on the JFC channel yet. I'm not updating the current website. The current website is in maintenance mode while I build the new site. So. All right. Well, anyway, talk to you guys later. Thanks for coming. Bye-bye. Wait, let me try this button. I think I have this button right here. See it. Oh, my graphics missing for the girl. There should be an animation character. Let me see if she's here too. Oh no. What about this one? Oh no. All right, I have to make sure that those graphics are there. All right, see you later. Bye, guys.
Are you ready? Uno, dos, tres. Let's learn Japanese. It's never too late. Taking you from zero to fluent Japanese from zero. Let's go! You've watched anime since you were in high school. You thought about learning before everyone thought it was cool. Well, now's the time. Get off your butt and learn to speak. Before your body hurts and your bones are brittle and weak, only time can tell how good you'll get. If you don't start now, it's something you'll surely regret. So let's crack open the book and start right away. The best time to learn was last year, the second best time today. Woo! Learning Japanese for all the cute girls and boys. If you're already married, ignore all that noise. Anime is cool, Japanese food tastes great. Start learning Japanese now, it's never ever too late. If you like Japanese drama, you shouldn't procrastinate. You can hear Japan calling, it's always been your fate. Japanese and you is like seaweed on sushi, a perfect fit. Let's keep the learning going, you'll love every bit. Osaka in the west, Tokyo's in the east, Okinawa is south. If you're feeling overwhelmed, I'll give you mouth to mouth. I'm just kidding, that would be pretty strange. Physical contact is out of my range. Learning Japanese for all the cute boys and girls with their intricate dresses and their colorful twists and twirls. Pokemon is fun, Japanese music sounds great. Start learning Japanese now, it's never ever too late. People say Japanese is hard and they are right. But you aren't one to back down. You're ready for the fight. You'll study every day, learning every word and phrase. And once you're conversational, you're ready for the next phase. A future awaits where you're fluent in Japanese. A loving wife, a husband awaits you, and they've got needs. So let's keep up the pace and never back down. Those that didn't believe you, they were wrong. They're just a clown. Learning Japanese for all the right and wrong reasons. Japanese is hard, but Japan is beautiful in all of its seasons. Because manga is fun, Japanese games are great. Start learning Japanese now. It's never, ever too late. Yeah! Come on, folks. Let's learn Japanese. It's never too late. Taking you from zero to fluent. Japanese from zero, ladies and gentlemen. Woo! Yeah. Learning Japanese is hard, I ain't gonna lie. It's harder than a rock learning to fly. There's hiragana and katakana, and then there's kanji. Imas means I be, but arimas means it be. I learned the kanji readings, but they're muzukashi. How can one letter be read, E, B, and P? If this was a girl, we'd fight every day. Punch me in my face and I'll just walk away. The dream is a montage, but the progress is slow. Fluency means every word I must know. My teacher has faith, he says keep going, bro. I wanna give up before my consciousness blows. He says sand makes a mountain when piled up like snow. But here's the thing, teach, my limit is reached. I don't have enough sand to even imagine a beach. I'm like a tampon in a bed of borrow. If I don't improve, I'm gonna slash my horror. I close the book, I'm done for the day. If Japanese was straight, I'd switch to gay. Political correctness says that life's not okay, but neither is forcing me to study this way. I'm done, I'm out, but this isn't the end. It'll all change when I find a Japanese girlfriend. Yeah, well, learning Japanese is hard, I ain't gonna lie. It's harder than a rock learning to fly. There's hiragana and katakana, then there's kanji. He must mean I be, but I must means it be. I learned the kanji readings, but they're muzukashi. How can one letter be read, E, B, and P? Folks, when you learn Japanese, just remember, it's not gonna be easy. In fact, it's gonna be hard. But like my teacher said, if you keep piling up that sand, eventually you'll have a mountain. And before you know it, you'll be speaking the Nihongo, just like I hope to be one day. Well, until then, have a good day, and yoroshiku onegaishimasu.